What's happening, Charles?
What's going on, Leslie?
Hey, man, it's another Friday. It's we hadn't I missed you last Friday, but I held it down for us. And it's another Friday. It's another classic weekend, a drivable classic this time. So we got an action-packed day. We got a lot to cover. We got to talk about, COVID and Biden's six-step plan. We got to talk about a lot of things today. But before we do that, you got some breaking news that you just informed me about, and let's just bring our audience up to speed. So I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. So Robert Schuler Smith, who was the 3-term district attorney for Hinds County, has passed away. He was admitted to UMC last week. He had a car accident and he has passed away. So
let's take a 30-second moment of silence. Thank you, audience. Well, Charles, why don't you kick us off, man? The war, COVID is not going anywhere. In fact, it's gotten even stronger. But let's just kind of starting off. All right, before we even dive into it, let's just kind of have a recap, man. Let's talk about the Orange Blossom Classic, and just kind of recap that a little bit and go right into the Southern Heritage Classic. And let's start right there.
Well, I mean, Orange Blossom was probably featured 2 of the best defenses in the SWAC.
I agree.
It wasn't exactly what people signed up for, but for old school, diehard football fans, it was a beautiful game. And this time of year, sometimes defenses are a little bit behind, but these 2 defenses showed that they are ready right now.
Oh, they're ready right now. They were ready getting off the plane. Normally defenses typically coming out of fall camp are ahead of the offense because offense is just a little different. It takes a little bit of while. It's a lot of timing, and sometimes with defenses you got some of that as well, but you also can just you can just lean back and go too. And so it's not uncommon for defenses to be ahead of the offense, but sometimes you get surprised. But in this case, I think you probably have, and I would go on a limb and say probably the 2 best, without a doubt, the 2 best defenses in the SWAC conference as of right now, in this moment in time. And, it changes, but right now, when we look at and I think the other thing that impressed me was the depth of Jackson State's defense. How many people they played. I don't ever remember a time in the last 20 years where you could literally swap out constantly and not lose a step.
Yeah.
I mean, keeping your defense fresh, and that's going to pay dividends down the stretch because you're not worn out by the 4th quarter because you essentially, I bet you if you calculate it, essentially most of them probably played 2 quarters in time.
Well, I mean, it's good to finally have some depth. That'll protect us from injuries and give experience to the young guys. I think what I was most impressed by was the number of freshmen that played on defense.
Well, not just played, but contributed. it's a difference in a freshman playing and a freshman contributing. I mean,
Well, I think with the defense of that caliber, you can say play because you know you're not going to be on the field if you're not contributing.
uh, true, true.
Yeah. So I think that's why I say play because from 1 through 11, that defense was very stout. So they have 4 freshmen out there on the field.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
no
lot.
doubt. And I think for me, in like number 12, Cameron Silver, I've had a chance to watch him play in high school. I don't remember him like that. I remember him, but I mean, he was locked in. He definitely impressed me. He was a surprise for me. I didn't see him contributing that way as a freshman, but hey, it just shows me that if you that dog, if you are hungry for it, you can go get it. It's out there to go get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different caliber of talent now than in the spring. I mean, you look at the corner. You had a freshman corner playing man up.
Right. I mean, when you think about what you can do when you have the ability to play man up across the board, that's crazy. Just what you're able to do in terms of being aggressive. Because literally it's mano on mano. And it's not, and I'm bumping run. I'm talking about we're playing press coverage. So you got to have the skill to do that. You don't do that if you don't have the talent level to do it. Because that could backfire if you don't have the talent level to do it.
Well, we get a chance to see against better caliber quarterbacks if that'll hold up. But I think overall, Jackson State's defense made a statement.
Yeah, they did. It's a long season, so we'll see how. Hopefully, as good as it was, hopefully that's the worst performance our defense displays all season, because they should get better too as the season goes along. And if that's the case, we're gonna be a problem. We're gonna be a problem. So, but in that, I know a lot of people went. I didn't go. I know you didn't go. We kind of didn't go, but I saw a lot of things in Miami over the weekend, and I just want to remind us, and those of you that are headed to Memphis are already in Memphis right now, wear those masks, please. Right? Even if you're vaccinated, wear the mask. Unless you are in a room, what I call those test-free rooms where everybody's getting tested to be in the room at that time, and there are some rooms like that. I get that because you're in the safe zone, but if you're not in the safe zone, and let's be honest, only the players are really in that safe zone and people close to them. If you're not in that zone, I'm going to ask you to wear your mask. I didn't see enough mask wearing in Miami for me. I would like to see more of that and just being safe. Have fun, but be safe and protect the others and even the ones around you.
Well, I think on the offensive side of the ball, we got some work to do.
Well, yes, we have some work to do, but I was very impressed with some things I saw. And I saw some important foundational things that was scary because they showed me just how good we could be. And I haven't seen that in a long time on the offensive side of the ball. And so we clean up. Look, we clean up the turnovers. We clean up a couple assignments. That game is not even close. As good as FAMU's defense was, that game is a 21-6 game, 28-6 game, easily. And so I think
I'm going to tell you, until I see it.
I agree. I mean, we got to do it.
I don't want to hear about what could have been the score. It was 7-6.
Well, listen, I take a W however I can get it.
I don't mind the W. That's not what I'm saying.
But absolutely, and I think this is the week. The biggest growth in a football team during the season is between week 1 and week 2. And I think this is the week. My prediction is that tomorrow night in Memphis, you see Jackson State offense, how you going to see it for the rest of the year. You're going to see a dynamic offense that's going to put points on the board. That's what you're going to see tomorrow. And so I just say hold on, because you're going to be like on a roller coaster tomorrow.
That's good to hear. Special teams need some work.
A lot of work. And that was probably the most disappointing thing I saw because I don't know what it is about when you put on a Jackson State uniform if you're a kicker because it's like all of a sudden you lose all your accuracy. It just disappears. I mean
I'm
I
not
don't
concerned about the kicker though, Liz. I mean, he'll be fine. Kickers miss all the time. Look at last night. Dallas kicker missed in crucial moments, and then he came back and made in crucial moments. That's kicking. I'm more talking about missed assignments on the kickoff team, missed assignments on the return team. That first fumble was set up by a muff of the opening kickoff.
yes.
So I mean, those type of things they gotta clean that up in a hurry.
Yeah, and I think and yes, and we got to be able to catch the ball in the rain, and it was pouring down raining on that opening kickoff. We got to be able to catch the ball though. But I think at least they went ahead and hit the ground and secured it. We got some work to do. We got some things to clean up. We got some gap assignments. We got some lane assignments. We got to make sure we're tight on. When they did the little reverse, we got out of our lanes and lost containment.
We're out of our lanes on every kickoff.
Yeah, well, that's problematic, and we've got to fix that up because if you don't, you get a dynamic kick returner, which there are plenty. There are several in the conference, and they're gonna make you pay for that. So yeah, well that's that. Your predictions for Southern Heritage Classic, sir?
It'll be a blowout.
Yeah,
I don't foresee Tennessee State putting up that much of a fight.
I don't see it either. I don't even see it close. I see it 17 point or greater win. Easily. I think we'll get a lot of people get a chance to play. We'll get to put some talent on the field, see how we are, develop some, get some good playing time. But I think the game will be over by half.
Yeah.
It'll be competitive in the first quarter.
But I think it's significant from this standpoint. You got Deion Sanders on one sideline, you got Eddie George on the other. That's going to bring a lot of eyeballs to that football game.
No doubt about it. And no doubt about it. At two HBCUs. I've got a comment from Gloria. Let me put that out here. Who says that 1.8 billion people are infected with TB and airborne transmissible respiratory disease. 10 million ill, 1.5 million died in 2019, yet we don't wear masks. TB.
We're not talking about TB, Gloria. We're talking about a pandemic, and we're giving our opinions. We're not doctors or scientists, and neither are you.
Yep. So I think, we just are encouraging people to be safe, do the things that are safe, and masks are proven to be safe, and or get vaccinated. Do the things so that we can continue to be safe. All right, so just going into that, President Biden rolled out a 6-step COVID plan this week. And the first step of that plan is vaccinating the unvaccinated with mandates for workers, public and private. The second step of that plan is protecting the vaccinated through booster shots. And then 3 is keeping schools open. 4 is increasing testing. And then 5 is economic recovery. The eviction moratorium and expanded unemployment insurance have inspired the government's toolkit to help those hurt by the pandemic is basically veering away from direct help. So that's point 5, and then point 6 is improving care for those that currently are infected with COVID-19. What are your thoughts?
I think it's timely. I mean, he's doing what an effective president should do. Take the lead, set the tone, execute.
Yeah. Clear plan. Very, whether you like it or not, it's very clear. You can certainly say you understand it. This is not very simplistic in its terms, very direct in its nature. 6-point plan.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna need that. because we said time is not on our side. You let this variant hang around, and guarantee you have another variant on the playing field.
What do you
And
already do?
I know what I'm saying. They hadn't picked up as much steam yet.
As we know what Delta has done and is still doing, and at some point, something is going to mutate to be even more problematic than Delta. And I just think we got to stop being apathetic about it and do the things we can do to protect ourselves and others. And I think,
That's what that plan does. Puts
yeah,
us in a can-do position.
right. So Charles, we got another controversial issue going on, particularly, and I really want you to weigh in on this one, because now the Justice Department has sued Texas over that abortion bill that passed. And this discussion is not about pro-abortion, anti-abortion. It's just about the law that was passed by Texas. Um, and whether it's constitutional, whether it's even doable. Um, so, what are your thoughts on that? I don't remember, and it could just be because I haven't watched this closely, but I don't remember the Justice Department being as quick to take action on something like this before. But then at the same time, I don't remember seeing an abortion bill like the one that Texas passed ever before in my life. So,
Well, take abortion out of it. This is the role of the Justice Department. This is what they should be doing. It's one of the things that they're mandated to do. Is if you see something that looks like it crosses the line of constitutionality, you step in. That's the way it has been done in the past. Um, we've had 4 years of not doing that, and so it looks fast. But I mean, that's the role of the Justice Department.
we'll go into that a little bit because I don't think most of us, including me, really understands the role of the Justice Department outside of like when we think of Naval and corporate. What really? Because the Justice is a big organization.
It
It's
is.
the biggest organization. Really, is the role of the Justice
Different
Department.
forms and functions. Most people are only aware of the criminal function, but you've got civil functions and you've got civil rights functions. And so when you start looking at constitutional issues such as those that may affect women uh, under the burden imposed by the Texas law, then that's where the Justice Department comes in and says, hey, we need to take a closer look to see if any violations have occurred.
Okay.
And so that's, I mean, but if you think about, I think it looks new because you had a White House in the last 4 years in the previous administration that didn't really do much with the civil rights division. And so
Understood.
it's been laying dormant. But I mean, it's always been there. Think voting rights. Think segregation. Think any big issue. Justice Department has been right there.
I think for a lot of us, like you said, we are literally only familiar with the criminal aspect of the judiciary, Justice Department, and even what they do. That means, based on what you just said, their scope is very broad.
Well, each one of those divisions has a mission. So I mean, that wouldn't be. I guess yes, broad in the sense of what you're saying is it's the Justice Department is huge, but that's I mean that's your government at work.
Yeah. So what do as we look now, we talked about, Texas a little bit. We talked about some of the, obviously the issues and challenges with the abortion line. Look, there's Kennedy. I think she's made it in. Let me bring her into the fold. Kennedy, you on the ones and twos, you take care, you want me to do it? Just, all right, Kennedy's going to bring us up in. And so we'll have to hear about this dynamic speech she gave today. Hey, Kennedy.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? Sorry I'm a little late.
All right. Well, we were just finished discussing the the Justice Department suing the state of Texas over the abortion law before you came in, and so this is a good intersection. You were late because you were giving a speech today. Tell us about that speech.
So I'm also a Latasha Norman Center, a peer educator here on campus. For those of you all who may not know, the Latasha Norman Center is here. I'm on campus in the student center on the second floor.
Wait. Let's be clear. What campus?
Oh, Jackson State University. Sorry about that. Yeah, but here on campus, just it's for students who are dealing with any mental illnesses, and it's trained psychological therapists and things of that sort. So that's what it's mainly about. So I had to kind of, I had to present an event talking about, today is Suicidal Prevention Day, but this was a whole month, so that's why I'm wearing my yellow, but that's really what I had to do today, so.
You know what, I'm glad you're doing that because, as we talk about, and we're going to continue to talk about COVID and the results of that, I mean, I don't think there's enough being said about the mental anguish and the mental destruction that COVID is having an effect on. And I'm talking about people, look, even myself, I mean, to some degree, it messes with you mentally because for most of us have never experienced anything like this.
Exactly.
Now. And so to see something that you can't see coming, you can't feel it coming, it's a different kind of battle. And so I think, when you're dealing with family members you've lost, friends you've lost, or just the fact that, people losing people, it has a mental toll. It has a mental toll on everybody. And it's not always in a way that's so obvious,
Exactly.
So talk about that a little bit. Because I'm very interested in hearing because I don't remember a time where young people were having as many mental struggles and as astute to mental health as they are now. So I'm really proud of what you're doing. Speak to that a little bit and the effect that it's having even on your generation.
So I think really our generation is really starting to notice it more and actually trying to start speaking up about mental health. That was really the whole purpose of the event today, was really talking about not just mental health, but suicide and suicide prevention. And also, like, one of the slides in the presentation was talking about the stereotypes in the Black community and statistical wise, how people don't really believe in suicide, or Black people don't believe in suicide, or, I don't know. Well, today I didn't really know until one of my coworkers or my peer educator, she asked the audience this, but she was just saying, have you ever heard of the myth, Black people don't die because of suicide? I've never heard of it, but when you looked out in the audience, a lot of people raised their hand and heard about it. So I think, especially now, since we're in a pandemic, it was really hard, especially for JSU students this past spring semester when we were going through still a pandemic. Then the snowstorm hit. Then it was over a month with no water. And then the Wi-Fi on campus was hard. It was mentally, it was tough. Like, it really was. But I think that's what Jackson State is all about, challenging minds and changing lives. So I think, it's important now. I feel like, though, it's not just our generation, but really, not trying to be funny, but the older generation, like you guys as well, understand mental health as well. So it was a great event. But yeah, so
Kennedy, just so we're correct, he's the old guy, not me. I'm the young guy. He's the old guy. You see all the grays in his head? He's the old guy, not me.
Strictly going by birthdays, Kennedy. He's the oldest.
Well, you know what? I actually had a question, and I know you guys are wrapping up that one portion, but the reason why I named the title of the show Defying a Separation of Powers, because I had a question for you, Dr. Irvin. So when it came to suing, the Department of Justice suing Texas, how is that? I really didn't know about that in government. Like I said earlier, I study this all the time, but more and more about government the more you learn. So can you really, I didn't know the Department of Justice can sue a state. Like, how can that even be possible? And then even the prior week before, I want to say, I'm trying to remember, what was it? How can you in Texas, like Supreme Court, when they were trying to discuss this abortion ban and putting it into effect and everything, but people were trying to appeal it. How can you overturn a precedent case because it was Roe v. Wade? Like, is that even possible? Like, that was really my two questions, not just for myself, but really for the audience as well. But I really wanted to know.
Yes, I mean, the constitutionality of an issue is usually what's at stake when those suits occur. They can't tell them what laws to put on the book, but if the law is unconstitutional as it stands, then they can challenge and say, hey, we think this is unconstitutional. Think about, as I told Mr. Peters, think about voting rights. That's how you get to the Voting Rights Act. That's how you get the provisions that were provided. If there's no one that can challenge the constitutional nature of a state's laws, then that's not good. And it would lead to overreach. Think about Jim Crow. Think about segregation, education, those type of things. That's why there is a branch of justice that was created to handle civil rights issues.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just really did not know. I was like, I did not know they could really do that. But all right.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have the checks and balances, right? Otherwise, we have a monopoly, and if a monopoly has total power, then you're not going to have fairness or equity, because
don't think of it in terms of a monopoly.
Okay.
Think of it in terms of that state has sovereignty. It can set the laws. But what recourse does a citizen have if the state sets laws that are overburdening? That's where the federal government comes in to ensure that the rights of citizens are maintained.
Okay. All right.
So the monopoly would be more like cornering the market on something. Now, we know they cornering the market on stupid, but that's not really
right.
That issue. It's what is the unconstitutionality or not of the law itself.
Okay. All right. Where did but I know you guys said y'all was just finishing that up, so where were y'all headed? I'm sorry.
I was getting ready to ask Leslie a question.
Okay, go for it.
About back at the Southern Heritage Classic.
Okay.
With Eddie George being on one sideline and Dion being on the other sideline. What type of message do you think that sends out to the country? And then I want to tie that to this. Did you see the viewership for the Orange Blossom versus some of the Power 5 schools?
I did. Over 725,000 people watched the game, and for the entirety of the game, and that's important and critical. It was higher ranking than 5 Power 5 games, and so including Oregon and who they played, I forgot who they played, and including Baylor and Kansas, including Oregon and who they played in the Pac-10.
Wait a minute, Baylor?
Yes.
Mr. Peters, that's great, but living in Texas, you realize Baylor, everybody tunes in the Baylor.
Exactly, and here's the thing, right? And all those games were in prime time slots, and if you take the Oregon game, it was at night in prime time. Mm-hmm. So when you start, here's the message it's sending, and I like the fact that not only Dion but Eddie now is challenging the status quo and saying, "Hey, ESPN." And I think, and I'm going to go on record saying this here, I think we're going to have similar numbers on the Southern Heritage Classic, and I think this is probably going to be the last time we'll be on ESPN3. Because the reality is this: viewership matters not only to ESPN, but it matters to all the affiliate local stations, because that's how they sell their advertising. TV makes money off advertising. That's how they make revenue. They don't make revenue for broadcasting.
These games are money-making machines. Would you agree with that?
Yes. HBCU is a money-making machine. And then when you look even the smaller, the SAIC, when you look at the Tuskegee and Fort Valley State games in the inaugural Red Tails Classic, they even had nice numbers. So people, what they're realizing, what the world is realizing, when you see Eddie George and Deion Sanders on a football field together, the message it sends is HBCUs are relevant.
That's right.
And they're not sending that message to us because they've always been relevant to us. That message is going to the mainstream, the people that it hadn't been relevant to. And so for us to have 725,000 people watching that event, here's what I can tell you: that wasn't all black folks.
Yeah, about the type of game that we talked about earlier. It was a defensive struggle. Most people tune out on those type of games, but to have a consistent viewership of that nature means that there is much more to pull from.
Much more to pull from. And I think, I was listening to both of them spoke at the coaches' luncheon at the Southern Heritage Classic today. Guys, this is a change of tone. Normally at the classics, the coaches are doing the rah-rah, banter back and forth. And they did some of that. But they spoke to the mainstream today, and they really spoke to us and about the things we have to get better at internally and the things that we're going to challenge externally. That it's not okay to do it just because you can. It's not okay to do wrong just because you can or just because it's acceptable. So we got to start pushing the envelope, and then we got to hold ourselves to a higher standard too. And that means that sends me to this message, and this is one message I send to the SWAC office. Do something about your officiating now and not later. It's been a problem. It's been a problem for years. It didn't just happen yesterday. It didn't just happen at the Orange Blossom Classic or the NFL. No. If you look at the NFL Heritage Bowl Classic, you'll look at the different standard referees because they didn't use SWAC referees for that game. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that we have to elevate it. Even when Jackson State scored the touchdown that was clearly in, it took them, and I counted, 11 seconds to throw up the indicator that it was in. There's no excuse for that. We got to do better. We definitely have to do better. And as fans and supporters of HBC football, I don't think you'll find a fan from any team that won't agree with that. We've all been crying about officials for years. We've got to elevate the standard in our officiating, period. Got to happen.
I can't disagree.
I got one question I really didn't know. So when you were talking about ESPN3, is it like rankings or how much is I don't want to say viewed, but put on people's, I guess, cable, if that makes sense? Like if it's shown on TV, like which one is viewed more or accessible, easily accessible?
Well, they track the viewership of all of them, but obviously if you're on ESPN that you can get on TV through normal cable, it's more accessible, right? Because I can get ESPN3 because I have the package, but it's internet based. So now we got to be who has the internet. We still have people, particularly in our culture, that don't understand paying for premium internet speeds and the benefit of having higher speeds and what that gives you and how much money that actually saves you to have higher speeds because of the flexibility it gives you to cut other things. So we get the cheap internet because they say, hey, it's $9 and you got internet, and we think all internet is the same. It is not the same. It is not the same. All tennis shoes not the same, and all internet is not the same. But if we understand bandwidth in that, we still have internet deserts in our community, not so much in others. And so because of that, when we go ESPN3, we got a whole segment that can't have access to that game.
True.
It's not because they don't want to. Either a couple of reasons. Either in their areas in Jackson, I guarantee you can find, and we know about it, you can go to certain areas in Jackson where your internet options are very limited.
Yeah.
There are areas in Dallas I can go to, and the internet options are very limited. Where I am, I can get fiber point-to-point brought right into my house. It's a whole lot of neighborhoods that can't get that. And so the reality is when you have that, then now if you go look and you watch what, even though some of the people at the lowest of the economic scale are paying for cable, and you see what they're charged because they don't know how to negotiate, it's enormous rates, and they're really keeping cable in business. But it's because they don't have the options, or they don't have the really knowledge, and nobody really explained to understand the technical capabilities to leverage it. And so when we still have broadband deserts, and we still have that now ESPN3 is not accessible to a whole lot of people. And that's why most people say, what is ESPN3? What channel can I find that on? There's no channel. It's online.
Yeah, it's online. I mean, but I think Kennedy is asking you a slightly different question.
Okay.
You answered the technical components of why people may not be watching the game. I think what she's asking is, well, how do they know who's watching in the first place?
So yeah, so
that's important.
Gotcha. So they have a way. When you tune into ratings now, because everything is market digital, so every provider can see the people that are hitting and what channel you're watching and how long you're on there. That information is relayed to a center collecting data point where they collect all that data, and they do that for every show. That's how they get the ratings for everything. They know what the number one news station, and they group it by blocks of time. So when they say I'm number one in my time slot, and so if I'm on at the 8 o'clock hour, they're measuring that 8 o'clock hour against every other network and channel doing 8 o'clock. So
make sure you break down that they look at age brackets, income brackets,
demographics.
Yeah, demographics. They look at all of that.
So they got key data, and they look at everything. They look at single moms, right? They look at women. They look at it by age. And so what we call it in technical terms is data warehousing. So basically, you take all this data, and then you can literally put into the system, which is a data warehouse system, which is nothing but abstract data, and you can pull out and say, this is what I'm looking for. I want to know how, literally, they can pinpoint and say, I want to know how many women between the ages of 28 and 32 wore a red dress in September, between September 12th and September 18th in the last 25 years, right? Or they could look and say, I want to know how many people watched Jackson State versus FAMU for all 4 quarters, and I want that breakdown by age demographic and by geographical location. So now I can look and see not only who's watching, but where they're watching me from. Where's my biggest market audience? Why is that important? Because if my biggest market audience is certain cities, if I'm on the other side of business, my advertising rates are going to be high.
Okay.
You see?
That makes sense.
I have a higher demand in an area.
Yeah, I didn't know like you could do that. So that's why I was really, just wondering. Thank you though. Yeah.
Yeah, they can pull anything, Kennedy. And it's no different than what retailers do to you guys. They know everything you buy. It's the same thing Apple does. Apple knows everything you buy, when you click, they know everything about you, and they use that information to market to you and get you. And it's just good business. But that's how it works.
Yeah, and so the last point about that is this: being on ESPN3, as Mr. Peters pointed out, is a disadvantage for those who are in internet deserts. However, I believe we have shown that if given the opportunity to be on larger stations in prime time, people will watch.
Very true.
And don't get me wrong, our ESPN3 numbers are strong. They were very strong in the spring.
Oh, it's going to be through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, I love it.
Given the opportunity to shine on ESPN2, we came through.
On a Sunday.
Yes.
So, I mean, you got to keep that in mind. So, and then, listen, let me tell you what else they did that you probably hadn't thought about. On a Sunday, we drew 725,000 people when Grambling and Tennessee State was playing at the same time. So we still had head-to-head competition for our attention at that market time, in that time slot. Most people are not talking about that. And they still had decent numbers too.
Yeah.
So that shows not only can you put them on TV, you can put multiple games at the same time on TV.
Right. And think about the advertising opportunities that opens up.
Now, Kennedy, I do have a question for you because I was on my rant about Miami. I didn't see enough masks. Y'all scared the bejesus out of me while y'all were down there kicking it. So now we gave you the speech before you left. So I want to know how you navigated the Orange Blossom Classic safely.
Well, I wore my mask the whole time. That's how I navigated it. You can ask all my friends and even the pictures. I didn't care. I wore it the whole time. Granted, yes, they were certain people were social distancing because you could see some people were moving up away from other people. But me and my friends, we still wore our mask the whole time at the game. Not only that, when we were in our Airbnb, I walked around. As soon as I walked in, Lysol everything, sweep the floor, wipe down everything. I had a pack of mask in my luggage. I also keep like a pack of masks in my car too. So, when we're heading down to the Classic, I don't have a mask. There you go, right there. So just making sure. We all did that though. We all packed PPE gear. So that's what I think how we navigated it. We really didn't go to a lot of we went sightseeing a little bit, but we didn't go to where everybody else was going, if that makes sense, to some of the crowded areas. So, but I had fun. Even when I came back, I still make sure I was still trying to social distance because granted, yes, I am vaccinated. You just don't know. And it's just, trying to be safe. But that's what I did in Miami. I plan to do that in Memphis. So, but no, yeah, some people but and I also had to realize it's Florida. So even when we went to Walmart, you did not see a mask in sight. I was like, wow, not even one person at least, but dealing with their government and how it's ran and things of that such is just, that's how it's going to be, which I kind of find it ironic how in Biden's recent speech, he was just saying how if these governors can't start implementing these vaccinations and doing what needs to be done, and that's when I'll step in. But our last show, like Dr. Irvin was letting me know, is certain when it comes to checks and balances and separation of powers, there's certain things he can and can't do. So it's just, I don't know, it's a nutshell. And that's why it's just, I guess, like I said before, I named it Defying Separation of Powers, because it's just, are we separating the powers at hand, or are we intertwining the powers, or is it one person that's in charge no matter what? So
let me just throw this out there. And I would like, one of the things that I love about sports, because I am a sports fanatic, but one of the things I love about sports is sports has its own separation of everything. Sports is the most unifying thing I've ever done. And what I say is this: when you play sports and you're in the trenches, and I'll take football for them, which is my sport, you go to battle with different races, different beliefs, all of that. But in order for you to be effective in sports and be successful, you got to function as one. And you find a way to get on the same channel, the same frequency, and the same belief system to play that game. There's some things we can learn from sports, because when we think in sports and we're in the locker room, I don't look and see my colleague and my teammate and say, oh, well, he's white. No, we linebackers, we football players. And so we basketball players, we soccer players, whatever it is. In order for you to be successful in sports, it requires you to have a unified experience and common goal, which means you got to resolve your differences. You do conflict resolution in sports. It's got to happen, and you have to resolve your differences and have a understood language that you both understand. And nobody's really figured out a way that we can take the attributes of sports and figure out a way to infuse it into life so that we can operate better together. But sports has been the one thing that I've seen in my life and my experiences that's been able to do that. And I don't care what sport it is. I said in golf, because golf is a simple sport. And tennis is too, unless you're playing doubles. But all team sports, you got to play together.
Very true.
So, that's just my take. Now, you call, since you've officially labeled me as old now, you were brave enough to go to class.
Irvin said you was the oldest by birthday wise. So.
He's not paying attention to Doc over there. I taught him just about everything he knows.
He's telling on himself now.
Look, I was born first, so of course I had to teach him.
See how that works. Just give it time.
But I don't look the oldest, See, I'm talking about the mental capacity. Like I'm younger in mind than he is. But Kennedy, the other thing I want to ask you is, what's your outlook? What's the college experience like? This is first semester back on campus. And here's what I said last week. I said, I think we have moved past pandemic now. We're in an epidemic, and we have to learn how to live with this because it ain't going away, right? It ain't going away. So we have to adapt. We've got to do business. We've got to work. We have to adjust to do it. Just like in 9/11. The airport flying is never going back to where it was pre 9/11. Never will go back.
Right.
We had to adjust. You got a whole new agency that didn't exist before called the TSA because of 9/11. We had to adjust. So what is the adjustments the students are making? And talk to me about the college experience pre-COVID and the college experience that you'll probably have now, we'll probably all have going forward.
So the college experience before COVID was great. I had a great time. Now it's still great, but it's just really a lot of adjusting, a lot of getting used to. Like today I had my Blacks in American Political Systems class, and Dr. Ori, I was having a meeting with him for some outside research. And he was just like, well, we're going to meet up in the political science space. And I'm just like, where is that? And he's like, you don't know where the department is at? I was like, well, COVID happened in the middle of my freshman year. Then we were virtual. I've never seen the building since like today. I haven't
never been in a political science building?
No, yeah, like the department, no. Now, have I been in the College of Liberal Arts building? Yes, but I never was able to go to the department because by the time it was time, we was already virtual. None of my classes were in person last semester, so I never really went to that specific department. He was just like, oh, yeah, you're right. So it kind of clicked in his head like, we are really starting to adjust to this. So really how they're adjusting, really, we're all masks are required wherever you go. They're trying, since right now for you guys, my dad calls it the union, but just the CAF is currently closed right now. So what they're trying to do is use the ballroom as where we can get our lunches, and also people in the student center as well. But it's still social distancing in that aspect. Like all the tables are still spread out at least 6 feet. A lot of my teachers are still trying to figure out how to maneuver classes, only because like some of the classrooms are a little bit smaller. So like Dr. Ori for some of our classes, some of us meet on Monday, some of us meet on Wednesday, and he'll just reteach, the same lessons to the students. And then on Friday, we all meet remote. I think that's what he decided to do. But just trying to figure out ways to adjust and make sure that everyone is safe and feels comfortable. A lot of times, even some of my teachers are like, please ask me questions at your desk. Do not come up to me at the podium. So it's a lot of getting used to it, a lot of kind of repetitiveness. But regardless, that is just how we are trying to adjust. So it's getting better, though. I will say that. They're still offering, like I said, JSU for the audience. If you're living in Jackson State is still offering vaccinations every, I want to say, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You just have to sign up. The Pfizer vaccination was already approved by the FDA, so can't use that as your argument of why you don't want to get vaccinated. But they're offering there in the AAC, so just want to put that out there.
What about testing? Is testing available for students? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, testing is available in the health center, and then also people who have cars, on campus day, and if you're out of state student, they do rides sometimes. But also the Walgreens on Ellis is offering testing, I want to believe. A lot of local places as well. So even if you can't get it in at the health center, you can still get it places near. So it's no excuse, basically.
Good. Charles, as a professor, how's it affecting you? How are you handling class now as we ventured from virtual back into live instruction? What are you doing different?
No mask, no class.
Wait, that's what you told them? Like if they're not wearing their mask?
Hey man, is that even legal?
I mean, I don't know, but I think it makes everything safe for everybody. For us, give us a chance to try to get as close to finishing the semester as possible. Keep each other safe.
Nah, I want to shout out to my students. I've had 100% wearing masks and wearing them the right way. And I did. I laugh at you, but I literally told my students the same thing. Look, you got a problem wearing masks? Don't come up here.
Yeah. I think our students have done a really good job of being good communicators. You know, they've been self-policing. It's not really a lot for me to say. That we created a bond because most of these students I had in my class last year, so they know my expectations, but they care about. They want to be out too. I mean, nobody wants to stay inside for the rest of their college days.
Right. No, and one of the things I will say that I'm seeing, just as an instructor and professor, is that this group of students this year is locked in. I mean, I gave my first quiz of the semester last week, and I had only one student that failed the quiz, and it was a hard quiz, guys. It was my first quiz is usually very challenging because I want to see where they are and how they read and how they comprehend information, so that I know how to best teach it. But they really blew my socks off. They did well. They did the preparation. They came to the extra session I offered, which was optional, just to understand how to study for standardized tests, how to read a chapter, what to lock onto. And they took the information and they ran with it. And I realized that a lot of people don't teach that, but I felt it was important because, we teach in theory a lot, and theory is what we teach. And I work very hard to teach in two parts. I teach theory, but I transfer that theory into practicality so that they can have a relation point to them. Then we convert it back to theory so you can have an understanding of it. So therefore, when you see it on a test, you can process it and say, okay, wait a minute. What does this mean? How do I see this in my life? What does this mean in my term? Okay, got it. Now let me convert this over, because I can't expect you to understand a language that you've never used and never heard, and to be able to comprehend several chapters and be able to test well on that. That's just not that's not really setting up for success. So yes, I do a lot of extra work, but I think it's important that we give them that extra thing to level the playing field. So I'm going to teach you how to study. Now, if you're going to get that where I give it to you one time, if you take advantage of it, great. If you don't, that's on you, because I guarantee you there's students around you that will. And they, but this year more than others, these students are locked in. They are bugging me, emailing me every day. We got another assignment. Assignment not due for a month. I'm not grading that assignment yet. But it's different. So I am happy to see that. And I think because they've been held inside so long, when they got the chance to get back out, they're really taking advantage of it. And I'm hoping you're seeing the same thing on campus.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. I think the students are engaged. I think they are high energy. And not only that, I mean, the substantive work has been really good. I mean, I'm pleased so far. I had a couple knuckleheads, but I would
well, you're always gonna have a couple, but I mean, it's definitely a welcome. I mean, they're hungry. As Les Brown said, they are definitely hungry, and the tenacity is there, the fight is there, the effort is there, and like I tell my students, look, it's only two types of people: ordinary and extraordinary. The difference is a choice. Who do you choose to be? I mean, really. And we look at every facet of our lives. When it comes to health, I'm ordinary. I need to be extraordinary to see drastic changes in my life, right? Extraordinary requires a different type of effort. When it comes to work and things of that nature, you can see the difference. So if we look and survey our lives and we look at the parts where we fall short, we probably ordinary. We probably operate in ordinary in those aspects. But you can change that at any moment. It's just a choice. So we have to be push each other. We have to be accountable to each other. And the only fight you can't win is the fight you stop fighting. Because there's a victory in every loss because you learn something. Very
true. Very true. Right. Liz, do we have any comments that we need to address? Let's take
I haven't seen any comments. They're quiet today. We just saw somebody you know very well, Charles, that echoes your comments. No mask, no class. I think she's translation. You better wear a mask or you ain't coming home either. You're gonna get me. I don't want none of that. But yes, family, come here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we're discussing as we all adjust to the reality that COVID is here. It's not going to disappear overnight. It's going to be with us a while. How do we operate within this environment? Because it is a new environment. And tips and tricks we can give each other. So definitely that. But it's been quiet today. It's quiet on COVID days, Charles, because people don't really, they listen, they absorb, but they don't really want to talk. See, that's not an easy one to talk about. People want to talk about COVID, man.
I think it's a combination of things. It's a travel day. People
it's the classic.
To the classic.
Well, that's true. Yeah, we're talking to a smaller group today. In fact, Kennedy, I was shocked that you wasn't in Memphis.
I told my friends, I said, I'm going to leave after I do the show. So my bags are already packed. So
okay, so you headed to Memphis. Okay.
Yeah, once the show's over with, I'm gone.
Okay. So you already have your Gus's chicken lined up?
Yes. Yeah, I'm definitely going. And I'm going to Dixie Queen. So
you need to check out Interstate Barbecue.
Okay. I most definitely will.
And look, and someday Mr. Irvin's gonna get you your computer, and we'll get you squared away. So maybe
next week.
Maybe next week we'll get you. I would tell him just leave it in the office, and when you come in next week, we'll work it out.
Okay.
I'll put it on my desk for you.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you can't get the info, check out Voodoo Barbecue. But I like Interstate Barbecue. They have barbecue spaghetti. You're not gonna get that anywhere else.
Barbecue spaghetti?
Yeah.
All right. See, like stuff like that. We gotta end the show with a good note.
You don't have to do it for that. What I'm saying is, that's an attraction for me. I'm telling you that there are options you should experience.
Right. I'm glad you cleaned it up. I was about to say, Mr. Peters, let's end the show on a good note. Because
I'm trying to tell you, look, I'm supposed to be trying to, eat light and all this, and he talking about barbecue spaghetti. That's not helping me. Willie may say, sorry, not a football fan. Oh, Willie, man, we're going to have to talk about that. You're not being a football fan. But tell me you're a sports fan of some kind and something. If not, I know what you are passionate about, so we'll make sure we get one of your topics. But
Kennedy, you should go by the Memphis alumni tailgate. That is going to be set up with all kind of swag for purchase, of course, because it's Reed Enterprises. But the latest, greatest fashions, he will be there until about 3:00 tomorrow.
Yeah, I probably am that, and we lived in Memphis for a while, so like a lot of my mom's old educated friends and coworkers, and a lot of my dad's line brothers live in Memphis. And I know even though my dad wasn't able to make it for the game this year, I know some of his line brothers, so I could just get a ticket and get some good tailgate food, please. Broke college students. So, but no, yeah, I'm definitely gonna enjoy it. Seeing some good family and friends, though, it's a good event. I always look forward to it every year. I actually went my senior year in high school. We got rained on, but we definitely drove from Texas. So yeah,
I'm gonna let y'all have it. I'm gonna watch it here on TV, but I will certainly be at homecoming. I'll try to figure out, give a chance to figure out when else I'm coming into town. But I'm moving a little bit different, a little bit slower, because Texas is similar to Florida. So
Yeah,
You know,
they just don't believe in masks. So
they just don't believe in them. So
those are code words for older Kennedy. Moving a little bit different, you know. So there you have it.
You know what? It's time to send Kennedy on her way so she can head up I-55 north and head to Memphis. Kennedy, you know the drill. Wear your mask, be safe. Don't bring us nothing back.
I will never do that.
And then, but more importantly, come back with a W. I think it's good. My predictions, Charles, your predictions. Let's get the predictions. Last predictions that we get out. My predictions, I'll start first. Here's my score: 35-13 Jackson State.
I actually think ours will be about like maybe 28-21. I think it's going to be a close game this year, actually. There's both two NFL Hall of Famers, both very black men, influential black men in the community. So, you know, a lot of people are going to come and see the game. It's going to be real intense. So I think it's 28-21 Jackson.
Here's the difference. Dylan got a head start on him, though, and Eddie hadn't had a chance to get out and recruit like that. So,
yeah.
I'm
21-6 is my prediction.
Huh?
What's your score?
21-6.
41-6?
21-6. All right. We're going to see.
Okay.
Hopefully.
35-13, 21-6. And what was your prediction?
28-21.
All right. Well, let's see how it goes. Lunch on me if I win. No, I'm sorry. No. Lunch on me if I lose. Lunch on Charles if anybody else win but him.
None of that makes sense.
I wasn't trying to make sense. I was just trying to get you to pick up the tab.
Right.
But hey, Kennedy, I'm proud of you. And Charles, be safe. I'm sure we'll be talking over the weekend. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
I tried to find a good out with the boom, but I couldn't find what I was looking for. I was trying to find it. I got 5 on it, but I couldn't find it. But the boom will just have to play it. Have a good time, and we will see you next week. I'll see you Tuesday. And then, Charles, I'll talk to you. We'll watch a game and do like we normally do.
That's right.
All right.
Kenny, you on the ones and twos? Take us out.
All right.